I think it's smart. It is a good champion for Jessus.
I also think it's interesting that Elise is still being left open. I don't believe that Fnatic are likely to ban it, even though we did see it come out from Xerxes in week 6. Ooh, it looks like they're still going to show that respect over to the Unicorns jungler.
Yeah, also just respecting Elise as a champion and the power she still offers in the early game. Of course, a man we need to look at as well is Reckless. As you can see here, Varus and Sivir. Now, that is not too weird in itself that an AD carry will play those champions, but Reckless, of course, it is unique that he's actually picking some of these champions that benefit from team fighting and can also help his team and not just himself.
Utility on Reckless?
I know, it's amazing. There's some coming in right there.
Yeah, and this is one of the big shifts that we did see from Fnatic last week and coming into this week, very much trying to get themselves a winning bottom lane matchup. Kalista Thresh, so strong in the 2 versus 2, but Unicorns, they're going to answer with a staple.
Well, there you go. The Unicorns of Lovers bottom lane again. Xayah and Rakan to go with that Cho'Gath for Urwell. It feels like yet another game they get the duo.
And I'm a simple man, so when I see Cho'Gath, I want to see engaged with him. I want to see things that can actually enable Cho'Gath in team fights, and that's where Rakan will shine. Talisman is going to come in from him. Of course, he already will offer engage on his own, so that's a good thing to make Cho'Gath even better.
And one of the big problems that the Unicorns of Love had against Roccat was this Galio pick, because every time that they tried to interrupt, they always got in the way of disengaging the engage tools that Unicorns of Love have. So I wonder whether or not they will actually put this Cho'Gath in the jungle, or they move it up into the top lane for Chachi.
I think it just depends on what we see from Fnatic. If you see a Gnar come in as an answer, then Cho'Gath probably moves into the jungle. If you don't see the Gnar, then you can easily keep their Cho'Gath top lane. Maokai is still available if Unicorns want to pick that for the jungle. Fnatic already showed the Sejuani, and we have not seen the Maokai top lane yet in Europe, only over in North America.
And I feel like that with these bans, we're looking right now at a Jarvan in the top lane for Fnatic. One of Science's more comfort picks. It synergizes nicely with the team fight composition. And you could also round things out with something like a Talia, given that some of the power mid laners have gone away, or you could just go for the safe Syndra.
And if we do see that Jarvan, then I really want to see Maokai from Unicorns put Cho'Gath top lane, run so much engage that it's actually impossible for you to not get a team fight. Like, unless you run straight into a wall with all 5 members, you will get your team fight.
Well, Unicorns have done that even without team compositions, with all that much power.
It gets even better if you actually get all the engage.
Let's see whether or not Unicorns agree. We're into the last 2 picks here. It was Orianna for Fnatic. It feels like a fairly well-rounded team composition already.
Oh!
And it's Talon!
Oh, the lethality changes did give birth to the return of some assassins, but so many of the pros said we're not likely to see it in the mid lane. Lethality is still heavily countered by tanks, and this is even a rough match.
Gentlemen, does this count as #cheese or not?
I guess yes, but I'm not a fan of the cheese. Like,
I don't know, man.
This is so risky.
So risky.
Because, so, the problem, of course, for Talon is when he builds all this lethality, tanky members will have a lot of armor and they will not die to him. So his job is like assassinate a squishy only.
Yeah, his goal is not to kill that Sejuani. His eyes are on Reckless. He wants to shut him down, but with the Shen still being available, that's going to make it so much harder for Talon to have that level of impact.
So I know we're obviously looking at a lot of talent right now. I'm still happy to see the Maokai come in from Unicorns of Love as well. So you have insane team fighting engage comp. Talon as well as an assassin, of course, does offer some AoE damage, and he can get onto one single target in a fight and try and take them down. But again, it's a big risk. Also because we have to highlight, they're picking this champion that needs to snowball for a mid laner who's done a very bad job in the early game for the entire split.
Ooh, question marks all around. Can Unicorns make this pick work? I also want to see how Shen performs in Soaz's hands, because I thought he wasn't going to play the dog champ again. And I quote from Soaz's Twitter, Dylan Falco maybe being a little more involved in the team-based pick.
I mean, what's better than a Shen ulti against an assassin?
Exactly.
Not maybe a Galio ulti can help you there, but he was banned away. So I think that was the response to the talent specifically, even though the Shen up in the top lane, obviously he's not going to be as impactful in the late game as a Cho'Gath.
But when I see this Maokai jungle, I get so excited as someone who loves to play these assassins, because he makes it so easy to set up ganks in the middle lane. And the moment that Ori's flash is down, it becomes a prime target to snowball on in the early game.
Oh, prime target, or is Exile still the target? Love Hurts crew taking on the Fnatic faithful. It's the Unicorns of Love versus Fnatic for the last time in cross-group play. play. Let's see if the Kings of Europe, Fnatic, can maintain that lead. Gentlemen, they've only dropped 3 games, all split long, and Fnatic are on an 8-game winning streak. Will they continue that here against the Unicorns of Love?
Well, that's what I'm looking forward to. Right now, they have a beautiful team fight composition. They've been working on adapting their style, and we'll see if the fruit of their labor have come to fruition.
It's getting loud in here.
Oh, it's getting super loud.
Getting very loud. So let's see, Fnatic are hiding in the Dragon Pit. Hoping maybe that someone sneaks by, that they can then jump from behind. Will they put a ward over the wall, maybe? They're actually just waiting for someone to invade him for their blue buff and put a ward down. And then they're like, surprise! And then they get a kill. Sadly, no one actually invaded for blue buff.
No surprise party today. In the meanwhile, UOL, they'll take the defensive stance. That Cho'Gath will be going up into the top lane along with the Maokai jungle. We already saw it earlier in the day in the Vitality versus G2 series. We've been seeing a lot of very fast clears coming out from the Maokai, Mr. Deficio.
Yeah, we're gonna get another one because he has his bot lane, who is now saying, you know what, we don't need the early advantage in the bottom lane itself, so we will instead help the Maokai.
And you can see here where he's put the second sapling. It's slightly further back in the brush, which means that they'll use the first one to get the bonus damage onto the red. Then they'll leash it onto the red buff with the second one, and that should give the red buff over to the Maokai to make that early clear super quick.
While he's busy doing the Raptors on his own, so they're really speeding up Xerxes right now. It might be a surprise early gank top lane. We've seen that like 2 minutes and 30 suddenly, you know, oh, they got it. Okay, they're safe.
A little bit
the last
close.
one, they got it, they got it.
That last little proc there from the sapling. So Xerxes gonna be able to clear out 2 quick camps as Broxer got a pretty hard leash from Reckless and Jez's as well on his blue. And let's see whether or not Fnatic are ready for any shenanigans that Xerxes can get up to.
Yeah, because now 2 minutes and 10, he's already at his blue buff. He's gonna take that down pretty quickly. Smite is available, and then he can show up top lane. And Source, if he's pushing by any means, he will just die straight away to a flash twisted advance from Xerxes.
Well, excited setup here. That point and click CC makes it so easy for Vizicachi. I've heard both Fisher and Vedius talking so much about how you need some hard initiation first for Cho'Gath to do better.
Oh, you can also see the Maokai actually go mid lane. No cleanse on caps. He's running barrier to avoid some of the burst from the Talon. He will find Xerxes. So I guess now it's kind of spotted.
And I think that's a lot of good respect being shown from Caps right there. He has to be so mindful of the early snowball of Exile. The thing about Talon is his true strength comes from his ability to roam. But the only way in which you can really roam is if you have that ability to push in and then have the freedom, along with the vision, to move around the maps and engage happens.
Oh, the hook connects, so does the entrance. A little bit of damage back and forth for that Gleaming Quill.
I like the engage here from Justice. He has an army of minions right next to him, so actually real no way for Unicorns to fight back and stay in that 2v2. Another thing about that Talon, and of course it's the classic of you say, ooh, this pick is so risky, and then he goes 10-0 and everyone's like, haha, look, see, Talon is great, but Unicorns have such a great comp. If they just drafted a standard mid laner, I think most people at home would be like, wow, that's like almost the perfect 7-14 composition they are running. But now they are gambling, and they want to make this Talon work.
Yeah, but the thing is, the reason they're gambling and why we're hesitant to believe is Exile has been the weakest link of the Unicorns of Love. This is a guy for weeks on end now, has been struggling. And yes, we have seen growth over the last week. But it needs to be significantly more for this pick to work if you look at some of those stats there.
Yeah, time and time again, we have seen Exile try to go for those greedy plays in mid. You only have to look back to their series versus Roccat, where he dies underneath his the enemy tower, trying to get that solo kill onto Power of Evil. So being forced onto a Talon does mean that you have to show a lot more respect to your enemy laners. And the one thing we can say about Exile is when he's forced onto these champions where he's not really in a winning position, he definitely seems to play a lot more reserved. And for the time being, he seems to be doing fine in this lane with the slight CS advantage that he does have.
Yeah, we don't want to see the blind aggression, we want to see the smart aggression.
Yes.
If he knows, okay, here I have a jungler to back me up, or I have as roaming support, I can now actually go for that play and maybe force a summoner, get a kill, then it's fine. But he's against barrier from this Orianna and a Shen ulti, so most of the time when he's jumping in, he probably won't actually one-shot someone.
And gentlemen, of course, it is important to remember that Exile's team fighting and late game ability is just phenomenal. Even after losing many early games, many laning phases, he finds ways to be impactful. And don't think that'll quite be the same on a Talon. Oh, a good little hop there from Reckless as he uses that martial cadence. And by the way, Fnatic have been in UOL's face the entire time, plus 15 CS in that bottom lane.
A lot of pressure being exerted. We talked a lot about this during Champ Stakes. Another hook lands.
Well, into the Flay as well. Couple of stacks loaded up. The Rend pops down. Reckless and Jez is having a field day in the bottom lane.
And this is one of the shifts that Fnatic have chosen to go for, giving Reckless and Jez that winning bottom lane in the early game. Caps has a favorable matchup in mid because he will have the early push. He just has to be careful of the level 6 mark, and well, top lane is just two tanks slapping each other in the face, but Chachi's getting pretty low.
All right, a lot of trading back and forth. Visit Chachi's got minions to work with, though, so as fighting into an army, Flash Taunt was available.
Yeah, I think what Source wanted to do was at least try and have the flash go towards Visit Chachi and not even actually flash himself, but then force Chachi to actually respect that and flash away. Too many minions, though, around Soas and no vision of the jungler at the moment. Actually, you might have seen the Maokai on bottom side, but still, he didn't go for it.
A little bit of trading back and forth there. Exile respecting the ball as we have a brief pause, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like it's on the UOL side, but I will get confirmation for you shortly. But man, you can feel the tension building already as Fnatic's dual lane is in the face of UOL, and we were catching a glimpse of Exile shoving into Caps.
Yeah, so I want to also use this as an opportunity to talk a little bit about lethality too, because while you've heard a lot on many broadcasts talk about how lethality sucks against tanks. The thing about lethality is it is flat armor penetration, which means that if you have little armor, it is extremely effective. And one of the recent changes that did happen was that it now scales off of your own level. So let's say you're a level 16 Talon and you see a juicy level 1480 carry, you are still going to obliterate them. You still have a huge amount of burst damage, and that's part of the reason why you have this Shen come in, the Orianna shield too. There are a lot of defenses because you are still very squishy if you are stacking that lethality later into the game.
Yeah, and obviously people were talking about lethality being broken in solo queue, which is very true because the coordination is not there from a lot of teams. You get a lot of these squishy comps where you can actually abuse these assassins. But what so often happens in professional play is if that champion who builds lethality doesn't really snowball almost perfectly, you get into the late game stage and you have to play team fights against things like Lockets in there. That's going to be like Face at the Mountain maybe. The enemy team can build ninja tappies. There's Shen ulti coming in. There's a shield from an Orianna. They go on to Reckless as well. And suddenly the coordination is there to actually protect that guy who's getting jumped by the lethality user, and it suddenly loses a bit of its effect. But that's always the risk you're taking. If you can snowball the game cleanly, these kind of comps can work.
All right, if you can snowball cleanly. We're 5 minutes in. We haven't had a chance to get a snowball going in either direction. So let's see what Unicorns can do. As an update for you guys, as you can see on your screen, it is a Fnatic pause. It is related to audio. This is something that's impacting both teams in terms of team communication. So while our communication experts and QA guys are busy looking into the problem, we'll talk a little bit more about these team comps. We've gone over the Talon, we've gone over the lethality, and we've gone over the style that UOL have to play. It feels like their team comp is a little more 7-14. Whereas on the Fnatic side, it just feels like it's Fnatic. Shen in the top lane, a little bit of engage in the jungle. Fairly well-rounded. What do you think, Deficio?
I mean, I think Fnatic's comp is fine for the meta as well. Like, you are running with double frontline tanks. You have, of course, a lot of teamfight focus with Orianna and even the Kalista Thresh combo. So I think Fnatic are drafting okay here in the 7-14 meta. I just think it could have looked much better for Unicorns if they had Cho'Gath, Maokai, and let's just say, you know, it's whatever. Talia, like whatever standard mid laner in the mid lane, and then suddenly you actually had a comp with insane engage, great scaling, great team fight, and it would be very difficult, I think, for Fnatic to play their composition. But obviously they wouldn't have drafted a Shen then, most likely.
One of the slight advantages I would give to the Unicorns of Love is that when you look at the Talon and the Rakan specifically, the amount of mobility and pick potential that they do have is actually very impressive. So if they can get a good setup of vision, they have a good opportunity to punish the low mobility targets of someone like an Orianna and just keep trying to get those kills over and over. But you have to have good vision for that. And while Unicorns have been improving that vision, they're still one of the weaker teams regarding it.
All right, we'll keep our eyes on the vision. You saw the teams on stage chatting, that is, as they were checking out their communication headsets. And we have deemed that the problem is resolved. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just jump back into Fnatic taking on the Unicorns. As a brief summary, Snowball is the name of the game for this Talon. And we'll find out whether or not any ganks can happen.
Especially also because Unicorns of Love are mainly running with physical damage here. Xayah and Talon, of course, the feast from Cho'Gath is true damage, so you're not really gonna build anything defensive to help you against that one. So you will see Fnatic just get a ton of armor once we go later into this game, and then it gets harder and harder for Samux and Exile to carry.
Yeah, if you're an Orianna, one of the best things you can actually do against someone like a Talon is just rush a Seeker's Arm Guard or go for a very early cloth arm. You could even go for the armor boots too, just to add insult to injury. And that's going to force the Talon to roam around the map early, see if he can find some other opportunities. But you can already see Vision being set up deep in the bottom half of Fnatic's jungle because they're afraid of this possible roam.
I think we might have to see Xerxes actually focus on this mid and bot lane.
Yep.
Okay, if he goes towards mid lane, puts pressure on Caps, let's say you force a flash, you force him maybe out of the laning phase, then you suddenly can take over the river and you can actually enable the Talon roaming towards the bottom side. Another option, of course, is the big feast up in the top lane with Visichachi. If he's already getting Source pretty low, a quick gank from a Talon is enough to kill Source, and you actually attack the global as well. So there are two lanes you can go towards. You just got to be able to leave the lane first.
And it has to be clean, right? We need to see this clear and clean communication. We'll keep tracking the vision. That might indicate which direction the teams will go. Fnatic's wards just timed out. Take a look at your itemization. The Reckless Special, Berserker Greaves into double attack speed daggers versus the BF Sword for Samux. And a little bit of a warding mission here for Jezz and Broxah.
Something that you will see from Hylissang all the time is after his first base, he will always roam. Usually he tries to go mid, sometimes he'll go top, but he always looks for a roaming opportunity. And with a Talon, I think that's the best thing you can do, as Soaz gets a little low up top lane.
You can see these trades right now. Suddenly a Talon shows up, or maybe a gank from Xerxes, and that is a kill for Visichachi with Feast. He might actually just get it on his own.
This is scary.
Oh,
the Feral Scream gonna get sidestepped as Chachi expected Soaz to back away. If I look at the mini-map, Xerxes sitting around the mid lane as Jezz runs into Hilly. Gets the flay down, and there's potential across the map, but no real hard initiation. Okay, another quick trade in the top lane. As Spirit's Refuge comes down from Soaz, blocks a couple of autos, but nothing yet, Vedius.
I love the tension that you're already building. Quick shot as both teams yet to get themselves an early kill, but just as a bit of fun information, oh, Brox actually he's looking for a bit of a roam mid. He is level 6, does have the ulti.
All right, Glacial Prison. Will it lock anybody down? Will it set up any kill?
But for the time being, no. He's just going to disengage. There's vision there from the Unicorns of Love. They're aware that Brox is trying to do. So with regards to a bit of solo Q-tips, what we heard from Alfari yesterday on the desk was that typically you want to be maxing W early on the Cho'Gath. We might not have time, so engage happens, but
it does indeed. Grand entrance up onto Reckless. Exhaust is used, healed as well. Samux and Hilly running for their life, though. That was just the Ignite used for 2 summoners on Fnatic.
That's still a worthy trade for the Unicorns of Love. This bottom lane loves to trade aggressively. They love to be in your face, using this duo to try and exert their pressure. But for the time being, they're just going to use that to try and
solo
claw back this.
Q-tip. Give me the solo Q-tip.
The solo Q-tip, right, the solo Q-tip. So usually Cho'Gath top lanes, they will max W first. But what you'll see Chachi doing is he's actually maxing the E. And what you have to remember is that the more feast stacks you have, the more percentage health damage that E does. And the slow is very effective against sticking onto the Shen, but also it's because of the percentage health damage that it makes it very valuable into that match.
He's against a tank up in that top lane, so that is what you're going for. Also a tank who's stacking early magic resist, of course, for himself to reduce the damage of W. Let's see you down bottom lane.
Hylissang's in trouble. No! Manages to get out to safety. Manages to dash up. Featherstorm comes down. Jesus has got Stand United. Hilly and Samux running for their lives. Hilly's still got flash available to him. Gets over the wall. The Rend comes down. Soaz takes a couple of tower shots and nobody dies.
Soaz very close to losing his life there. Was just able to get out of tower range. But this is a very classic Fnatic move. They use the Shen ult to make a play bot, but they don't get anything for it.
Yeah, and that's very big for Unicorns of Love. Shen right now is a champion. Really needs to succeed with the first few ultis. Otherwise, he tends to get outscaled by some of these other big tanks and bruisers in the top lane. First one right there. Got a few summoners, but no kill for Fnatic. No early tower just yet.
How juicy of a target is Samux and Hilly now. Flashes available for Reckless and Jezz, and nothing for the UOL bottom lane. And Broxah has yet to make a gank appearance as it stands, but comfortably farming up 64 creeps in the jungle.
Well, that's always the lovely things about tank junglers. If you can't really find a gank, it's okay. You can just keep farming because you're really strong in the late game anyway. You're not an elite who needs to get all the lanes rolling. Caps, though, right now, might be going Rod of Ages on this Orianna here in the mid lane.
I got a quick stat for you guys. The Unicorns of Love have not had a single game this split where they've gone deathless by 15 minutes. The clock is now ticking. 3 minutes 45 to see whether or not they will concede a kill. And I believe the latest First Blood in summer is 18 minutes and 31 seconds.
Yeah, and let's praise that, because Unicorns of Love in this game have not actually gone for any crazy aggressive moves where you're like, oh, what's happening right there? Exile has been chilling in the mid lane. We haven't seen him go aggressive. Haven't seen him use a summoner spell here in the early game to try and force any fights. Xerxes has been farming in the jungle, so only Hylissang is kind of getting close to potentially getting caught out. We saw that play before, but they have not made any risky moves just yet.
The only thing I'm disappointed about a little bit is the early game potential that Xerxes had that he has not quite been able to exert. I feel like that with Maokai, it's so easy to just walk into a lane and just relieve some of the pressure, especially on someone like Exile or down in the bottom lane where you have so many ganking opportunities. I would have loved to seen him on this Maokai try to make a little bit more happen for the Unicorns of Love in the early game. But the fact that for the most part, the majority of these lanes are even does not necessarily mean that that's a bad thing for the Unicorns.
Well, let's take a look. Another initiation opportunity. Hylissang looks for the grand entrance. Reckless with a respect flash. He instantly gets out. Hylissang throws down the quickness and manages to walk away.
Yeah, another thing we wanted to look at was the early vision for Unicorns of Love. Right now, they've done a great job setting up the bottom side. Tons of blue wards in there, even a control ward on the bottom lane, meaning that now you can actually play aggressive because you know where the enemy is on the map. There's no chance of them suddenly appearing and killing a no-flash Samax or no-flash Hylissang. And they get the flash away from Reckless. Good trade from them. So still no ulti on top side.
And we have to backtrack to what you were talking about earlier, Deficio, where Soaz, he made that ulti play down bot lane, and look at how much damage that tier 1 tower has taken. It is on the verge of falling. They don't even need to send members up top because Chachi is eventually going to get it. Shen at this early on cannot match the pushing of Cho'Gath.
There is nothing fun about playing Shen in this position for Soaz. You use your ulti, you don't get a kill, you just sit there, you get pushed into your tower 24/7 top lane, and you know that Cho'Gath is way stronger than you later in the game.
And anybody that knows Soaz knows exactly how much he loves that position, right guys? Right? He loves playing Shen in a difficult matchup and really being the team player. That's what he's going to need to do because the Stand United is up. Death Sentence catches onto Hilly. Hylissang manages to make that Samax as he manages to escape. Fate's Call comes out. Glacial Prison has locked it down. Nobody's dead yet. A minute and a half to 15. Will the Unicorns of Love give up first blood? Yes, they will! A second for Reckless. Death Sentence on the back end won't find a target. Caps is now running for his life. Exile's looking to trade with the rake, the flash, the dash, the smash. Exile gets it.
Exile is able to get his solo kill outplay onto Caps, but I don't know if he can get away with his life. Shen is on the hunt.
Let's find out. Can Soaz guess? Yes! Scrying Bloom. That's going to reveal. Shadow dash over the wall.
He's got to go for the execute.
There's a flash as well. Assassin's Path. Exile's going to look for the execute. Tower first blood. Secured by the Unicorns, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of things just happened right there. Unicorns got that Inferno Drake, but there was still no summoner spells on the bottom lane, so they were caught in that river. Couldn't really get out in time. Fnatic with some kills there. Exile though with that outplay in the mid lane. We have to remember Caps is not building early armor. He was sitting on Rod of Ages. The lethality is super effective then against him. This is a fight from before. No summoners here for both Rakan and Xayah. So once the fight is actually started, they can't really get out.
And the big thing here is the Shen ulti. If it was still a 3 versus 3, maybe UOL could have gone out. But the moment Soaz is on his way, you know that things are guaranteed to go sour for the Unicorns of Love. They had the guaranteed numbers advantage, but let's see how Exile gets onto Caps.
Yeah, you can see Exile here, actually with the big brain, managed to get the advantage over Caps. So Caps is like, haha, I'm gonna flash behind the talent so that W is not actually gonna hit me on the way back. But Exile's like, nah, I'm just gonna flash with you.
So good.
And then it's actually going to hit you. So Exile one step ahead of Caps right there.
But also recognize that Exile was level 10 versus a level 11 Orianna who had barrier, had everything, and decided to rush health rather than armor. You touched on this earlier, Deficio, and I feel like that is very disrespectful. They wanted to try and still get some scaling into the later game rather than just itemizing early to try and do with the talent.
Yeah, the answer to flat armor pen is not more HP. It's armor.
Yeah.
That's how you reduce that flat armor pen from actually being very, very good against you.
Well, Caps has got a cloth armor. It's,
yeah, he's going there now. So
it's a start.
He will be fine. You can then obviously go back and say, hey, Caps, was that 1v1 necessary? Maybe not, and then he would still have been fine.
All right, let's take a look what happens. Hylissang runs in with the quickness available to him. There's a melee in the mid lane. Featherstorm's already used, but Caps is down. Exile has decided to play today. Brox is holding on to his Glacial Prison. Up on the front line, Soaz needs to take the lantern to safety. The box buys some time, but UOL get a second. They take the lead in kills. Blast cone over the wall for Soaz, and Fnatic are running for their lives. The Love Hurts crew erupt instant chance.
And this is why you needed to respect the mobility coming out from the Unicorns of Love, but I don't think the action's quite over yet.
Oh no, oh no, Samex, you've got no flash, no escape, and this should be an easy kill for Reckless and Fnatic.
Classic Fnatic thing where you don't expect him to stay around, that is hiding around the corner, making this little play here to get a kill in the bottom lane, but meanwhile Unicorns of Love, after winning the fight mid, get also the tower.
And just look at how quickly Unicorns of Love can engage onto the flash-lurged Orianna. There's not enough there to peel him. The flash engage from Hylissang, the follow-up from the Maokai, the route to just make sure the rest of Fnatic can't keep him alive, and then Exile's able to quickly clean up the kill.
And this is why in the pick and ban phase we wanted to see Rakan, Maokai, these kind of champions with the Cho'Gath, champions that can just guarantee a fight is started. Because how do you escape a point-on-click CC from Maokai? You can't. As soon as he's in range, he's onto you. Then you can have the follow-up from a Cho'Gath as well with his Feast, and it's very easy for Unicorns to kill one target every time.
And that's what Unicorns want to do to steamroll the rest of the fight. Talking about killing one target, Righteous Glory on Vizichachi's Cho'Gath. Get him in range as quick as possible. We've had that Duskblade and Essence Reaver for Exile and Samex, and now those first-tier pickups slowly trickling in. Reckless, Blade of the Road King, Soaz slowly working towards some armor. And of course, double for Reckless. That's a triple now. Fnatic 3 kills, UOL 3 kills. It's an even game at 18 minutes.
And if you're a Unicorns fan, this is great to see, because one of the big things that we wanted was Exile to be stepping up. He picks a Talon, very risky, very big gamble, and so far he is making it work. He's getting that early snowball off. Going for an early Duskblade, usually you want this if you are looking to try and snowball that lead because of the extra burst it gives, but we have more action down bottom.
We do indeed. Exile was forced to use that Shadow Assault to safety. Jesus needs to get the swing and the connect to the Death Sentence. Not going to find the target yet. He does against the wall, follows it through. There's backup from Broxah. Yes, Jesus getting chunked down. Graceful Prison just to buy some time. Nature's Grasp going to lock down Fnatic on the retreat. Reckless finds himself a break.
Oh, he got he got
Look at
rooted.
the root, flashed into it. Unicorns are not done yet. They're chasing down Broxah. Locked up. The shockwave from Caps is good. Too little, too late.
And see, right now, we see that Talon get early kills. Duskblade is completed. We just saw the damage right there onto Reckless. It is insane how much damage he can deal against these squishy targets. And the rest of Unicorns, they managed to follow up. One mistake here from Fnatic, and they get punished so hard.
And it was just Fnatic trying to make a play onto Exile in the side lane, and UOL responded so well. This team is so effective at responding to pressure plays that are made by their opposition. Every time you think things are going in favor in your end, Unicorns always somehow find a way to answer back.
And now we're just gonna see Exile be able to actually always single out someone like Reckless here in these mid-game fights. There's not enough gold on the side of Fnatic to get all the defensive tools you need to protect your AD carry. And meanwhile, the other 4 members on the side of Unicorns are perfect at starting team fights on their own. So you can have 4 members running straight at Fnatic, and when they're busy dealing with them, Exile shows up from the side and kills the backline.
Well, Fnatic are now in a slightly more difficult position. The one champion on the Unicorn squad that Fnatic did not want to get rolling was that Talon. And Exile's looking for some targets because hops over the wall. Caps is able to escape. Forced to flash though, keep that in mind. Continues to back away into the tower. Vizichachi already at 3,000 hit points. Got himself that Abyssal Mask to back up the Righteous Glory. And Unicorns, yes, they got a 1,500 gold lead, but they are dictating the flow of the game at 20 minutes.
So it's important to remember that while things are looking great for the early game of Unicorns of Love, they need to keep this momentum going as they look for another engage.
All right, Nature's Grasp comes down, and no kitty cats to play today. Exile may not need any support, though he almost solos Jesus.
Important to highlight that Maokai works the best is like follow-up engage, but let's see what happens here.
Well, follow-up, there's no Nature's Grasp now. Hilly forced to go in and go out. Chachi feasts down Caps. Shockwave not even available. Good Shadow Dash taunt under the tower, and look at all those range stacks. Oh, Chachi, they go down. Shut down. Broxah's used the prison. The feathers come out, though. That kills Jesus. Unicorns on the retreat. Reckless, the only damage dealer for Fnatic.
Here we see the way for Unicorns to start every single fight. It's Hylissang going in first, then the Maokai, then the Cho'Gath. They will follow up. They can't really go in first. We saw that ulti earlier from Xerxes. It is so slow. It's never really gonna start the fight for you, but it's great when the fight is already on.
But it's also so difficult for Fnatic to stop them because with the recent coin changes, now whenever you run towards a person with it, you get bonus movement speed. Add to the fact that there's a Righteous Glory, add to the fact that you have a Talon and a Maokai, like, there's nothing you can do. It is so easy for UOL to just be like, we're going in and we're stampeding.
Yeah, and also you fed the Talon. That's pretty bad, because now in these fights here, sure, it's not just about Exile, it's, you know, Chachi with the skill here clicking R on a target as well is worth highlighting, but the comp is so good at constantly forcing team fights, and now that this Talon will just be able to assassinate people as well, then every single member is strong on the side of Unicorns.
And it's difficult for Fnatic to find their way back in now because Caps, he's being forced onto this scaling build. He's not really going to have any real damage until this third or fourth item, maybe once he gets the Void Staff, once his Rod of Ages fully stacks up. But they're going to have to delay, they're going to have to wait, and Unicorns of Love are not giving them the room to breathe.
Oh, what a great performance from UOL to open up this series. Remember I said at the beginning, Fnatic are on an 8-game winning streak, and Unicorns being led by Exile, the man that has received so much criticism. All right, Soaz and Chachi, they're going to continue trading here. Back and forth. And
the classic
Exile's
Reckless gank.
Such a good game. Let's see if there's any support. All right, here comes Reckless. Stands right on top of the Rupture. Got himself the Hurricane and Blade of the Ruined King. Righteous Glory comes down.
Eat him, Chachi.
Available to Chachi, so he can't go for the execute.
He's no feast, you're right.
One big rend available.
The greatest outplay against a Cho'Gath is to run backwards.
Run away! Run away!
Listen to the Fnatic faithful here in Berlin. Half the crowd cheering for Fnatic, half the crowd cheering for UOL. And this game far from over.
And we were still so early in the game that Unicorns did not feel comfortable just rushing at the Baron and say, yes, okay, AD carry might be bot lane, but if we go Baron here, he won't be able to join the fight. Sadly, I think they probably realized they would take too much damage from it. Not a lot of armor on Xerxes just yet. And then they had to just see the top laner die.
Well, thank you, Flash33C. Yes, we are passionate in Europe, aren't we? Let's find out which European fan favorite is victorious. Gentlemen, this is a very exciting game. The gold is still even. It's an Infernal Drake apiece, and Deficio's favorite, Cloud Drake, is the next to contest.
You just had to say it.
Of course. I'm never going to let that one die. And let's see whether or not Unicorns will be willing to start a team fight over it. I feel like they will. I feel like they'll start a team fight over anything with this comp.
Well, I feel like the Baron's going to be the bigger point of contention right now.
But you can team fight over Baron.
You can very much so, and Fnatic, they're going to kick off the fight as the TP comes in from Chachi.
Oh, it's going to be a big one. Fang, you got to run. You got to run real fast.
Well, they are indeed. Nature's Grasp is available to Xerxes, and it's
Unicorn's going to start it.
Wide skill shots.
I just feel like Unicorns, they're going to take this gamble. They're going to try and force Fnatic into the fight.
Not yet, though.
Control ward down. Unicorns, they know that they can actually just basically click Righteous Glory and then rush in with Hylissang.
Fnatic's like, no, we were kidding.
Nature's Grasp, Xerxes got such a long range. There we go. Kind of splits up. Reckless is on the side. Chachi's taking a lot of Ren stacks automatically.
Let's remember, we want Hylissang to go in first.
Ooh, huge ulti.
Glacial Prison catches Exile. Exile's gone forward. He's assassin. Reckless stands waiting. He's not down yet. All of a sudden, Exile's killed. Reckless drops immediately thereafter. That's one carry apiece. The Shockwave smashes UOL. A double kill. Not done yet. Fnatic chasing Unicorns of Love. It's a 3-for-3 as both teams have lost two. The Grand Entrance comes back in. The taunt, the dash. But look at the damage from Caps. He's helped by Broxa. Fnatic are destroying Unicorns.
Such a spectacular team fight from both teams. Small outplays coming out from either side. But it is Fnatic that get the team fight win. Only Xerxes left at the very end. And let's see how this fight kicks off.
All right, Xerxes ends up going in first, uses the ulti very early, but right now you can see Hylissang is not really in the fight, Exile is not really in the fight, so Unicorns have to back away. And then Soaz, with also the ulti coming from Broxa, actually gets onto Exile. He has to use everything to try and kill Reckless. Shen ulti comes in to defend him. It's some of the tools we talk about to try and keep Reckless alive. And they do manage to keep him alive for long enough that they actually also get Exile down before Reckless dies.
And it's really worth praising how much work Soaz did, zoning so many members away from the main damage dealers that you think everything is disastrous, but then again, Soaz gets a beautiful taunt onto the backline to allow Caps to then get that final kill onto Samix, even though Samix uses ulti to dodge the Shockwave. Just so many small uses of the great timing to avoid big damage dealers, but eventually Fnatic come out on top.
And we're gonna have about 10 more of these fights.
Yes!
At least 10 more in this game here, because you're gonna see both teams, all they can do to win this game is run at each other and just team fight. No one is going to win through split pushing here. That doesn't really happen. You just hard engage. And it's going to be around Baron, mid lane, Drake, it doesn't matter. A ward, a little Raptor camp, like you can always find something to fight over.
But things are going to get harder and harder for the Unicorns of Love as we progress, because you saw how difficult it was for Exile to kill Reckless. Chachi, he's just going.
He's going under the tower. Use the Righteous Glory. Visit Chachi, this is definitely a style I've seen before. Caps gets a 3-man shockwave. Already used a flash. Barrier's a few seconds away, but he survives.
Hylissang right there managed to actually engage onto him. Bot lane, Chachi is still behind the tower, trying to get onto Soaz. Meanwhile, Caps is going back to base. Unicorn's pushing for mid lane.
He wants to keep the pressure on him to make sure that Soaz can't TP in, but now Xerxes, he's looking for a chase. Remember, Caps, no flash. They're getting priority around the Baron.
Some bigger items here as well for Fnatic to keep Reckless and Caps alive. Knight's Vow is completed for Broxah to reduce some of the damage taken. I think he put it on Reckless early on.
And Reckless, he's completed his 3rd item already. Well, they're going to start off the Baron, but the TP is coming in for Soaz.
All right, Exile is aware of it. Soaz is in so much trouble.
Why?
Knocked up, silence. He's going to be dead. Lantern available, but not able to get taken.
Yeah, it's brunch time for Chachi.
Caps was still running from base. Oh, Soaz, he just had to try and cancel that one and then walk towards the fight. He still had his Shen ulti as well.
I think that's a Righteous Glory that was thrown down, if I read that correctly. Caps, by the way, Shockwave on cooldown. Nature's Grasp on cooldown. And Unicorns decide not to opt into a pit fight.
So you can see now, Hylissang, he's completed his support item. It gives you that extra mobility as Jess is forced to pull out of the fight.
Oh, Fate's Call from Reckless. That's one less tool for another team fight. The prison is up. The Shockwave is up. Caps has found his targets already.
15 seconds on Soaz. Does have ulti. Here comes the zoning Maokai ult to force Fnatic away from the tower. Another way you can use it.
One last auto there. Secures and Deficio. Unicorns of Love, 3 towers to 2 at 27 minutes. They peel back to the Baron with Chachi on the front line. Gargoyle, Stoneplate, Righteous Glory, Abyssal Mask. He's a beefy, beefy monster.
I feel like if Unicorns of Love now, you just go back. You need to restock your vision. You need to get more control wards. Baron will be the big name of the game for you moving forward. They don't care about that. They're just going to try and force it. A lot of ultis are down.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. Fnatic have Locket completed as well on Broxah. Even more shielding for the carries.
This is fast.
Remember, the Feast can be used on Baron as well.
Death Sentence didn't find anybody. Hylissang's gone in with a flash knockup. Look at the Shockwave pulling 3 backwards. That's already Exile down. Fnatic on the front line is Reckless. Gets silence and runs for his life. Glacial Prison buys so much time. Reckless takes down Visit Chachi, and Fnatic even a kill score.
This was so risky for the Unicorns of Love. We talked about how they needed to go back. They needed to reset. They tried to force a fight, and now it's Fnatic starting up the Baron.
Xerxes is still around. Flash Smite is available, but there's a Kalista on the other side. It should be impossible for Unicorns to steal it. They realize it, they back away. And right there, we see what happens when Unicorns cannot execute their team fighting comp. The engage from Hylissang did not really manage to do a whole lot for them, and that means the follow-up couldn't really do a whole lot either.
Yeah, you need to keep track of what Exile's trying to do. In this long river, he can only run in a straight line, which makes it extremely easy for Soaz to taunt the right target, and then the follow-up from the rest of the team to just shut down the main damage dealer. With Exile gone and no threat to the backline, that allows Fnatic to just group up as a bunch and just keep hitting the next target closest.
Yeah, can't actually fall Hylissang at all because he got onto Reckless. He was kind of like setting him up for the carries to get onto him, but as you just highlighted there, couldn't really get to him. And then Exile on this Talon here did not manage to do anything really in this fight, and it gets harder and harder. We keep talking about it. Knight's Vow, Locket, all these items here ready to keep the carries alive.
And I'm going to go back to what you guys both said earlier in the game and in picks and bans. The Unicorns team composition was quite reliant on snowballing, getting a lead, and then playing clean macro. Not a risky play, not a 50-50 play. And with this Hourglass picked up by Caps, it's another tool for him to use to avoid this burst damage.
Yeah, and the big reason why Unicorns had to rely on snowballing, despite having great scaling with the tanks and even with the Xayah, was just because of talent. One champion alone actually played how Unicorns had to play out their game. If they had drafted against a scaling mid laner,
Vladimir,
whatever, you know, just whatever scaling mid laner, they could have taken Fnatic in late game team fights. But due to talent, it gets really hard. It can still happen. You can definitely still execute one of the carries, but it is not easy for Unicorns.
And I feel like UOL, they played the early game fantastically. They found a lot of great fights. They were off to a good start. But I just think that that Baron right there, that decision to try and force that fight rather than just reset is what has put them in the position that they're now in. But Fnatic, with the Baron, they're in a great position now. They can start grouping up, setting up the 1-4. They've already got the slow push down in the bottom lane, and they are ready to force a fight whenever they want.
Honestly, I think Unicorns of Love said, we have 3 items on Talon. It's a great power spike. We want to just fight, fight, fight. Use the Baron to force the fight. So they were happy to see Fnatic walk towards them and be like, great, now we can go aggressive. But then when you lose the team fight, it all backfires and the whole Baron play suddenly looks a little bit goofy.
I mean, they had no Maokai ulti, right? Like, I'm just sitting there wondering, you had so many things on cooldown. There were so many things you should have waited for, and it just didn't work out for them. But again, I think it's really important to highlight how well Fnatic are now setting up. You can see they've got deep vision set up around the top half. They were able to take the tier 2 in the top side, and they're just being gradual with their whittling down of this tower.
Oh, Exile takes so much damage. Here comes the engage from Hylissang. He's already flayed backwards. Nature's Grasp will buy some time.
That engage only got onto Jessis, who can always just get the Kalista ulti. I don't think actually Unicorns had everyone around to follow up, because as we say again and again, Hylissang dives in, and then from the back you see the Righteous Glory from Vizicsacsi, and you have the movement speed from Talisman to get everyone faster towards Hylissang, and they can rush in and follow up on the engage to kill the back line.
But Deficio, Flash Economics, a class we took a few weeks ago, taught me how important it was. Caps, Reckless, Soaz, no flash available. Exile forced to hop over the wall. The Prison tried to snipe and it wasn't even needed. Exile finds nobody, and that means the Unicorns are getting wrecked. 2 members down already, and Fnatic siege the base.
Fnatic with a clean team fight, shut down Exile right to the get-go. They find the targets that they want, and now they're poised and ready to break the base of the Unicorn.
Take a look at Reckless, the KDA player on the front line, chasing down the Unicorns of Love, trying to shut them down. Inhibitor goes down as Fnatic take absolute control of the game. Only 3 members left for the Unicorns of Love. There's no Baron-empowered minions. This will be a difficult defense.
Fnatic, they're heading on the base. There's only 3 members of Unicorns left to stand in their way.
I don't think it's going to be enough. There might be a kill, though. Vizicsacsi's not done yet. Grand Entrance knocks up Fnatic. Yes, they got a Nexus tower, but now they're running for their lives. The Rupture slows down Soaz, and the Feral Scream does nothing more.
And it wouldn't be a Fnatic versus Unicorns of Love game without some crazy base fights where suddenly you defend the Nexus, and now we actually see another fight.
We do indeed. Hylissang trying to use the quickness to lock down Fnatic members. Vizicsacsi's coming up on the back end. Soaz is low, so is Broxah. Reckless is running for his life. Defensive flash on Broxah over the wall. Exile uses that Assassin's Path and Rake to sink some diplomacy into Fnatic's back.
So there's a Drake alive. No Baron here for Unicorns to take this. Of course, all the inhibs available as well. They have no minions right now with them, meaning they can't really rush anything other than that Drake.
How much magic do you believe in if you are a Unicorn supporter? Gentlemen, pop quiz. What is the Fnatic Unicorns of Love all-time EU LCS head-to-head? Let me tell you, 12 wins each.
Oh, really?
Over the last 2.5 years, Fnatic and UOL are tied at 12-12. And this series will give at least one team 14 wins before the victor is declared.
Well, both teams have fought hard, but it is Fnatic's game in control right now. And you can see how well the 3 members of Unicorns were able to hold on to their Nexus towers. And I felt like Reckless, he just went a little bit too far forward in the fight. It allowed Chachi to get a great knock-up and silence. Then one of the main damage dealers gets shut down. Caps doesn't really have much to follow up. And then UOL, they can just start the chase. The rest of Fnatic, they're forced to split up. The quickness comes back available for Hylissang, and we come back again to the mobility of this composition from UOL. Makes it super easy for them to just chase down these straggling targets.
Sadly for them, they didn't get any carries down. They did not manage to have any minion waves they could actually use to get maybe an inhib, so they had to just settle for the Cloud Drake. Not exactly what you need to get back in this game. You need something bigger after a fight like that. So Fnatic, still 6k gold ahead. Another locket completed for Jessis. It's not like they need shielding at this point. Reckless, as we saw in the last fight, when Exile jumps in onto him and everything gets popped defensively, Exile didn't actually manage to deal almost any damage to him.
Can't find that target. You guys talked about all the armor that's going to get picked up. Look at that Thorn Mail, another Chain Vest on the side of Soaz. Elder Dragon's the next one to spawn. Unicorns have not secured a single Elder Dragon all split long, interestingly. And the previous Cloud Drake had a 9-minute shelf life. That's how long it took to kill that value, that objective.
I'm glad this game one is delivering, though, with a lot of fights as well, because the Fnatic Unicorns of Love rivalry, I feel like we've just seen it so many times the last few years. Almost every game is super epic, from the Season 5 spring final in Madrid, where we had the 5 games, also between Fnatic and Unicorns of Love. Funny enough, the first split where Unicorns of Love were in the LCS, all the way to the final. And so many times we've just seen these guys in the new era, what I call of EU LCS, since Season 5, where these just go head-to-head.
And technically, 2017, it's Unicorns that are winning. They were in the Spring Split finals. They represented Europe in the Rift Rivals finals. Yes, Fnatic are having a great summer, but then you take down UOL, who are having a great 2017.
Oh, they want to rush it down with Feast.
All right, Baron has been started. Glacial Prison comes in. We've already seen a Baron steal today. Not going to happen against UOL. Reckless, hopping, skipping, and jumping in the front line. He gets charmed up by the quickness and knocks down. Exile fights his man. Unicorns, have they just done it? Have they come back?
Oh, Reckless, he jumped into melee range of Unicorns of Love, and then they just turned around and killed him instantly. They have the Baron right now, and 2 members dead on Fnatic's side.
Now, they're looking for Caps. They found him.
Oh, Caps is doing a lot of damage. Don't take Exile. Flashes forward. Exile's hopped over the wall. Caps finds him. Takes him down. He will get run down by Unicorns.
And he's buying a lot of time. 30 seconds now on Reckless and Jesses for them to respawn. Still no minions for Unicorns to use.
But the AD carry is still alive for the Unicorns of Love. This team is so good at making those immediate decisions, and sometimes they're on the edge of a coin flip. Sometimes it goes horribly wrong. Sometimes it goes extremely well. They set it for the Baron. There was a massive risk of it going so wrong, but they realized they had to make this play, and they make it work.
Trusted in the Feast as well from Misajachi, despite Exile actually picking up the Baron. You need to see that fight again.
That's why he picked the Talon division.
That's right, to get secure the Baron. There we go. Fnatic respawning now with the dual lane. Cap still dead.
Yeah, Sentence connects onto Chuck.
Why is Fnatic fighting this?
Nature's Grass comes down. Fnatic feel they've got a shot. Caps 15 seconds before he comes back up. Fate's Call will slow down UOL. The inhibitor's already killed.
UOL, they need to disengage. They could move up to the top side and go for that tier 2 tower if they want to, but Maokai ultimate is unavailable. Exile is still in base. They want to start pushing this bottom lane and take down that tier 1 for a bit of extra gold.
Oh yeah, the tier 1 is alive.
It is, in fact, still alive because it's all about the mid lane, official. We don't care about Summoner's Rift, we only care about ARAM.
All eyes on Reckless in this fight here. He has so much protection around him. He jumps in to get as many hits down, but he actually ends up very close to Unicorns of Love. So all of Unicorns, they just turn around and like, wait a minute, you're right next to us.
Hiller saying the man of the hour there. It was Reckless trying to shut him down. He thought he had enough Ren stacks, but he didn't prop them fast enough. Therefore, he gets the quickness onto him. The AD carry is just left suspended in midair, and the rest of the Unicorns, they stampede across him.
Caps in the end. Does manage to get 1 kill, but still a good fight for Unicorns of Love. And if you are Fnatic, you don't need to dive the backline of the Unicorns.
Yep.
You can kite. Keep your Kalista alive, give her 20 million Ren stacks, and then let her actually do her job in these fights here. Don't go too deep, because then Unicorns still have enough burst to kill him.
It's such an exciting game. Fnatic and Unicorns getting close to 40 minutes. And actually, all of a sudden, you feel like Unicorns with Baron buff and super minions in the mid lane, they can stamp their authority. It's a minute until Elder Drake. And as I've mentioned, the Unicorns of Love have not secured a single Elder all summer long.
And I really want to emphasize how this is still a harder game for Unicorns to win than it is for Fnatic, because they have this talent. He is extremely difficult to play in these late game fights. We've already talked about all the shielding that they have. Think about the damage reduction that sits on top of Reckless right now, and it becomes so difficult for this guy to get onto the backline and shut down those carries.
But look at this build here from Exile. He's going for the Gargoyle Stoneplate. Obviously, as a talent, it's very easy to get in range of 3 enemy champions to get the 100% increase in your HP, but it does reduce your damage if you use it. It might just be like almost a baiting tool from him. When he jumps in, he unleashes all his damage, then he can pop it after when everything is on cooldown, and he won't just die instantly. He might get another rotation off in a potential fight. It is an interesting choice from him. We want to see if he can actually use it in these fights, but it is of course a very broken item in itself, just because it makes you a tank without being a tank.
It's like the AD equivalent of a Zhonya's. Once you've used everything, you can just buy time until either your cooldowns come out, or you can waste the cooldowns of your opposition. So it'll be interesting to see how he makes it work in the fight. As you're well, they set it for the Elder.
Oh, this is such a tense moment. This could be the team fight that makes or breaks the game.
There's no flash on Reckless, no flash on Caps either. 2 targets for Unicorn Unicorns to kill.
But Fnatic, they have priority in mid, and those super minions are walking down still towards that inhibitor. So they have to make a split decision now.
All right, Elder Dragon, 8,000 hit points and closing in. Unicorns of Love decides to initiate. Hylissang looks for the quickness, looks for the back end. Exile's trying to find a target, not going to find his man just yet. Brox is down though. Exile's escaped. He's managed to make it out. Reckless still untouched on the front line.
All Exile did was just buy time, and Unicorns are winning.
Vizichachi though gets his man. Keep an eye on Reckless's HP. He's killed. He's down. Unicorns may have done it.
Unicorns of Love smash through Fnatic. They finally find the perfect fight. Exile doesn't die, but Unicorns of Love, they lose their AD carry, and Exile, he's off on the side.
So Exile is pushing in for another inhib. Source trying to TP back. He got interrupted right there. Had to cancel it straight away.
Is there enough time here for the Unicorns to finish? They have 45-second death timers and minions pouring to the bottom lane. Vanius, this feels like games.
So as he's doing everything that he can to try and stop the Unicorns of Love, there's still 10 seconds left on Brox. He's on his way back. They're hungry for blood.
Oh, they're fancying themselves a fight. Exile uses the Shadow Assault. Silences up Soaz. And a nom. Vizichachi is fed.
So they didn't win the game right there, but they got another kill for Vizichachi and this Cho'Gath. Currently sitting on 13 stacks.
And just keep your eyes on Exile. Look at the path that he takes to dive onto the backline, and Fnatic's response. They're so keen on trying to keep Exile off of the backline that they just allow Broxer to be nuked down by the 4 members of Unicorn.
That ulti from Xerxes as well actually forced Reckless to just run. He didn't get any auto attacks off in the start of the fight because he was trying to escape that Maokai ulti, and then after Maokai ulti was gone, well then Brox had already died. So what ended up happening right there was Unicorns zoned off the carries of Fnatic with 1, the Talon, and 2, the Maokai ulti.
And we've been talking so much about Exile's inability to do a huge amount in these late game team fights. Think about how difficult it is for the Kalista when there's all these tanks sitting on top of her face. It's so difficult to get those Ren stacks off. She doesn't have that super late game build compared to Samux, who just obliterates so many members of Fnatic this late into the game.
The team fight team of Unicorns of Love with their Stampede composition get their first Elder Drake of the EU LCS Summer Split here in Week 7 in cross-group play against arguably their nemesis in Fnatic, and now Unicorns have all the tools they need to try close this game out.
And I think we've seen 2 team fights in a row now where Unicorns simply outplayed Fnatic in the fight itself. Exile playing this decoy, basically, just buying time for Xamax to take down whatever tank is in front of him. If Fnatic can't adjust to that, they might actually lose the next fight as well, and that should be game then.
But now Caps, he's got the death cap, he's got his full
Wait,
build
we're base racing now?
Oh, flash already used there by Soaz. He's running away
You're right.
from Vizichachi.
They're just grouping up 4 bot Fnatic. They're just going.
It wouldn't be Fnatic you were well if there wasn't some form of shenanigans. Fnatic inside the base, dealing with the supers.
Oh my God.
Unicorns, they're on Baron and they've already taken it down.
They got the recalls from Baron. You can't do that against the Baron buff now. It's so quick to get back to base.
There's a teleport coming out. Unicorns running down Fnatic. The box is used. Hylissang's already caught out too. Vizichachi's popped 2 walls. Here comes the Righteous Glory. No grand entrance, not going to be enough. That Glacial Prison may have bought just enough time. Caps throws down the ball defensively.
No flashes used there from the Unicorns. Only ulti used by Hylissang, so they didn't really sacrifice a whole lot. They just lost the bot lane inhib, but they got the Baron.
But what a great game from both teams. Fnatic recognizing that they do not want to fight the Unicorns of Love around that Baron. So they just run it down bot. They go for the inhib and they're able to get the disengage. But they look like, it was terrifying. Just all of them sped up. Baron buff, Elder Dragon, they were just running down that bottom lane.
And look at this, no flash on Caps. Reckless is still on cooldown for a little while longer. And Soaz is forced to pop his. It's 45 minutes in and the 2,000 gold difference doesn't mean a thing because everybody's reaching max items.
And the fact that the most consistent member on the Unicorns of Love this split, Samux, is sitting here full build on this Xayah means that it's not about the talent damage anymore. It's about the AD carry. And we saw in the last few fights, if Samux has enough time, he will kill Fnatic's front line and therefore win the fights for Unicorns of Love as well. He's of course relying on the big wall in front of him, being it Vizichachi, being it Xerxes. They're all adding so much value here.
Second inhibitor down. Unicorns of Love are now stamping absolute control on the map. Look at the vision Fnatic have set up. Luckily, spotting up the Unicorns members, giving Fnatic the information they need.
And Fnatic fans, remember that while the Unicorns of Love look like they're in control, Fnatic can still win a huge team fight. There is nothing left of the Unicorns of Love base. It would be so easy for them to run down mid and end it if they can just find the final fight, and this could very well be it.
Oh, Jesus goes fishing. Does not find himself a trout. Fnatic defending their last inhibitor turret. 5 inhibitors have been killed this game. Unicorns have 1 tower left at their nexus, and they have no room for error in these final fights.
Caps finally hit full late game. Death Cap completed 800 AP right now on this Orianna here. 1 big shockwave can also change the game. Fishing again.
2 inhibitors down for Fnatic. They have to deal with the supers too. Do well. They're just being patient, gradually hitting down onto this tower. I don't know if Fnatic really want to try and force something, but they're really running out of options.
Well, Unicorns just need to be patient. Let the super minions do the work for you. As Reckless is already peeled away. He's in the mid lane. The quickness comes down. Hylissang decides to engage under Soaz. Nature's Grasp splits up the rest of Fnatic. That's a great route. Reckless is able to survive, but the tower will not. The tower's falling. Reckless lifesteal does a lot against these super minions.
Right then, the bottom of the screen. Exile got onto Reckless instantly. Reckless had to use everything to get away. So once again, we got that flank from the Talon.
All 3 inhibitors are down. Fnatic and Unicorns 5v5 inside the base. I stand corrected. The bottom inhibitor just respawns. It will be killed instantaneously. Double super minions now what Fnatic have to deal with, and 20 seconds to Baron. Unicorns, will you stick around or will you play this safe?
Unicorns of Love, they see the end in sight. They have the minions backing them up, but they have to land it onto the right targets. Reckless still positioning on the back line. It's all about Exile. His cooldowns are back up. He's ready to go.
Yeah, but there's always a scary position when it's Fnatic versus Unicorns, when you think you can just go for that next straight away, and then suddenly you might lose a fight. Still very close, but Fnatic, they're under so much pressure.
The ruptures and the feral screams. Chachi's throwing them out, fishing for targets. Glacial Prison. Savage! Why are you there? 5 versus 4. Fnatic looking for more. Visit Chachi gets caught by the flay. Reckless is able to dash away. Now Exile's coming over the wall. Look at the damage. He's got Shadow Assault and uses it. Stand united onto Caps. By so much time. Visit Chachi's down. Fnatic fight back.
Remember, Fnatic, there's nothing left of the base for the Unicorns of Love. They just needed that one big team fight, and now they're looking to get the turnaround.
So they're pushing down the mid lane right now. There's still so many super minions coming in every single lane. Massive wave top lane, 1 wave coming in the bottom lane as well, but both Nexus turrets are live for Fnatic. It means they can buy a lot of time. Hylissang is behind them trying to get the minion wave.
But look at the bottom lane too, big stack in favor of
But Source is back. Source is there to just make sure that the turrets will stay alive for as long as possible, while Fnatic try and go for the finish.
And I don't even think this is the end of the game yet. Yes, Fnatic, they have full members, but the TP is coming in. They're going for the end.
Oh, 1 Nexus turret is all that's left. Exile throws out the rake. He's trying to stop as much as he can. Caps is low. There's no minions, remember. That tower is super ultra mega beefy. Caps running for his life. There's so much damage onto Reckless. Now Reckless is dead. And Fnatic thrown it away. The shockwave. And Fnatic are running for their lives. There was no minions. The tower was too tanky.
They rushed for it. They couldn't take it down. Now Unicorns of Love will turn it around. Triple kill for Exile. They will win the game, and you are not allowed to fight in the base between Unicorns and Fnatic.
You can never underestimate the power of a Unicorn. They're going to take the game.
Are you not entertained? Unicorns break Fnatic's win streak.
It's every single time when you think, okay, now they're gonna go in, they're gonna kill that Nexus, then something happened right there. Broxah landed a sick Sejuani ulti onto Samax, and then suddenly we're like, whoa, Fnatic winning? But no minions. Unicorns turned around.
The Love Hurts crew in Berlin have turned to full Spartans. What a crazy game. You always hope for it to be that entertaining, that back and forth, that crazy, and somehow Fnatic and you are well always deliver.
And Deficio, he promised you guys fights, and you got him. So many clutch fights going in so many directions. And it's just the way in which they evolved throughout the game too. How at the beginning it was all about Exile killing those primary targets, and then it evolved into him becoming like a decoy, and then Samax was the carry. And who could Soaz get the taunt on was his shield in the right place. Like, so many things changing every every single fight.
I mean, just that adaptation, once we got so far into the late game, everyone had full items of switching away from the Talon who needs to assassinate people to the Talon who needs to buy time in the backline, and then like kite out, uses ulti defensively. So Samux on Desire here can be the main damage dealer. Like, that was very creative, very smart from Unicorns of Love, and it really caught Fnatic here because they started losing some of those fights when we thought they were supposed to win. Like Reckless won that Baron fight when he got too close. Big ones.
Expectations for this was that Fnatic were meant to 2-0. They were the team on an 8-game winning streak. They came into this with a 15-3 record. If I look past their previous records, 6-7, 7-6-5, 13-5. This is the best split they've had since summer 2015. And Unicorns said, screw that! They took them down.
Various.
Endless Days, how did they do it?
Yo, they fought a lot. Like, I don't know what else to say. They fought so much. We asked for about 30 replays. We cut 27 of them because they were all team fights, but we're going to watch the last couple of fights just to break down the crucial moments of this game. The early game, the mid game, it became irrelevant because the game went on for so long, but if we can just take a look at those last few fights, and Henning, I'll have you start on this one. This is the Elder Dragon fight that started potentially the Unicorns of Love.
So the Elder Dragon mechanic becomes so interesting when you've got a Kalista on one side and a Cho'Gath on the other. Two champions that are so good at securing this. Then we see all the CC in this tight corridor that is getting layered on top of each other by UL, not actually doing that much. They got the Rakan, Cho'Gath, and Maokai not really doing enough when it comes to shutting down the carries of Fnatic, but then they're in the end able to pop Reckless here. This Itachi getting into melee range. So big on that Cho'Gath. What do you think, Yamato?
I was just thinking about this team fight. I remember watching what Reckless was buying, and he was just buying Bloodthirst as his last item against this double tank composition. He didn't buy his last Whisper. Finally, in this one, though, he sold his Bloodthirster, came in with a last Whisper. All of a sudden, Cho'Gath HP is going down. Holy shit, we can kill him.
Yeah, and that fight I also got a comment that there was no QSS on Samux, and Hylissang actually talked about him buying a Mikhail's Crucible. Instead, he went for a Banshee's Veil in their Redemption. I don't think Samux was too happy with that one.
No, in this final moment, reminder everyone, if you do not have a creep, that tower is not actually unkillable, but is basically unkillable. So if you ever want a backdoor, bring a minion with you. And that is a lesson that Fnatic are definitely learning the hard way. I think when we look at this, though, excitement aside, do Fnatic have to go for the end here? Because Unicorns of Love have just been winning fights.
Like, they should just take the triple inhib, and we will have a scenario that I haven't seen ever in my life. I think triple inhib versus triple inhib open. I have no idea where the game goes on from there.
And I mean, it's absolutely insane. You know, congratulations to Unicorns of Love at the end of the day. I think an amazing game played on both sides. We wanted to take a chance to look at the draft phase because we thought like that was one of the biggest and probably the most deciding factor in this game when you look across all of these team fights. Yamato, what was your impression?
I think, first and foremost, on paper, I think Fnatic have a better draft. Their win conditions are more clear. They will have mid-priority with Orianna. They can defeat Talon in the split push as well. So they have these macro-style kind of win conditions they can play to. But in this kind of stylistic matchup where everything is just about fighting all the time, UL's comp actually makes sense because they only have this one win condition, and that is to team fight with the composition. They can't split push because of Shen. They can't run it down mid because of Orianna. We gotta just fight.
Yeah, I think that Unicorns actually drafted a very good team comp for their style. Not only do they love to fight early on, or in the mid game rather, but they also, like a lot of teams that like to force the mid game fights, set up like properly slowly around objectives, around the tower, warding around the sides, get the side lanes going. That's not the Unicorn style. They just want to force the fights in the enemy jungle, and that's where a lot of these picks do really well, when they're able to set up there in the narrow corridors of the jungle with the Rakan W, with the Cho'Gath, Rupture and Silence, and especially with the Maokai, who we saw doing so much with the saplings, and those ultis actually landing this game.
It was impressive to see. I feel like the
Are
first...
you flaming Joko?
No. The first like consistently good use of Maokai ultimate. I know it's a really difficult skill. People are learning it. But the additional... I feel like when we first saw this draft phase, we as a desk were really concerned about the Talon, right? Because it's just later the game goes, the more it feels like Orianna is the impact. Was this Unicorns of Love playing around the Talon really well, or was another factor on the Unicorns of Love team composition kind of outweighing the potential, I don't want to say lack of damage, but just less comparable damage than an Orianna when it comes to that Talon?
I think that Unicorns Love played better around the Talon than I was expecting. Excel actually played a really good early to mid game. I thought that, I'm not sure about the Talon because I haven't seen it too much recently, but I think that the late game strategy should be to go for the split push and contest the Shen in the side lane, but that's not what happened, Yamato.
I think like a big mistake I think was to not buy Last Whisper on Talon because he can actually kill the Shen in the side lane if he just goes there and matches him at that point in the game. I think also a big mistake from Fnatic was like they should have priority on every wave, and the way they need to play team fights, they have this range advantage because of Orianna. They just need to play it slow. But all the time we saw these situations where they went too deep. They were the ones engaging, where they had no reason to force. They can take priority everywhere, take it slow, force the enemy to engage, because that is the only tool Unicorns of Love have to get priority. They have to engage. Play that kind of style. Force the enemy team to engage, kite, 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 and you'll win with the Kalista and Orianna. But they didn't do that.
Well, as we round out this game review, Yamato, as a coach, what do you tell your players after a game like that? I mean, it goes so long, it's so back and forth. There's some insane decision-making there as you move later into the later game. High pressure. What do you say to your guys after a game like that?
This is definitely like a game you just have to move on, right? You need to tell your players this is 0-0. What happened doesn't matter, you know? You move on, you look at draft, you make sure that you pick blue side, right? And you are the ones that are going to have the choke at this time around, and you just continue on from there. There's no point lingering on in these long games. You just need to shake it off and move on.
So it's not really so much, it feels like necessarily a draft thing, maybe a little bit of an in-game execution thing, but just starting fresh appears to be the best call if you're the side of Fnatic. Now for Unicorns of Love, do you just do it again? Do you just, I mean, you're going to be red side, it's going to be a little bit different, but can you just go for the same style of composition, maybe take a risk with another pick like Talon?
You won't have Cho'Gath, I hope, on red side. I think stylistically, this comp made a lot of sense in this matchup. I would disagree, and like if there was different teams, if I saw these comps in Korea or whatever else, I would say that Fnatic's comp had a massive edge. But in this matchup of these two teams, I think these team fight compositions are very in favor and in fashion.
Yeah, I totally agree. If there's something we know for sure in Game 2, it's that we're going to be seeing a lot of fights in the mid game because that's what both of these teams want to do.
I definitely hope so. Well, after an insane start, we are ready for more action here in this series. Game 2 is coming up right after this.